All right. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome once again. Another episode of the Jimmy O Show. We're now episode 8. It has been a real treat and pleasure for me to continue to bring these to you, and we look forward to bringing more to you in the future. Very special guest here, one near and dear to my heart. I've been threatening to get Sincere on. I think from when I talked to Nick in the second episode, I said, well, offensive lineman, I got to get him, you know, and our schedules finally collided, and here we are. Sincere, how you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Great, man. I'm awesome. And like I said, offensive lineman, I'm really excited. We were kind of geeking out just now and probably got started late talking block schemes, and we'll do a little bit of that for the audience. But I want to start with just something I saw this week in social media. We'll get right into it, okay? And it was Tulane football put out what was your guilty pleasure song? And Sincere, what was that song you were singing?
Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks.
I love that. I was laughing at it because, I mean, first of all, to me, that's right in my wheelhouse. I mean, that was my high school years. I mean, I got to tell you something. You probably don't even know what this is, but you were not trying. If you were at St. Charles Catholic and you weren't making a mixtape with like Tomorrow Never Comes and The Dance on it, right? Like, do you even know what a mixtape is? Okay.
I know what a mixtape is.
Okay. So back then, you know, you had the double cassette recorder, and you would like if you had like that album by Garth Brooks with Friends in Low Places on it, you would play it, and then you'd hit record in the other one, and you could make a tape, or you record songs off the radio. And like you would make a list of a tape of Bradley probably made like 15 song list, but you make 8 to 10 song cassette for a girl, and you know you write little notes in the liner, and I mean this is how you showed you care. I mean, look, recording was a lot different back when I was in high school. It showed you had to really like somebody to go through all that effort, right?
Sharpie on top of the
Exactly, and so you know, but those Garth Brooks bangers right there, those slow songs, man, that was the move. So, and then, you know, Friends in Low Places, of course, was a big party song. So that's more than you ever needed to know. But so is it 90s country a thing, or is it just that one song?
It's funny that you mentioned that. We were just talking about country music today. We had it going on in the weight room. So I do like country music. I didn't always like country music, though. It kind of it's grown on me since I left Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so whenever I was in Texas and hearing it all the time, I didn't really like it as much. But I kind of, whenever I listen to it now, it kind of makes me remember home a little bit. And, you know, all my friends and family that I grew up with in Texas, and listening to, honestly, not as much Garth Brooks as you would think. So I think that's more from, I want to say, my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Listening to country there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you know, part of the problem with Garth Brooks, he's not on Spotify.
Yeah.
Music and all.
Exactly.
You got to actually own the stuff. It's incomplete. Your 90s playlist, your 90s country playlist is incomplete because they don't have Garth on it. All right. Well, you talked about growing up in Texas. Pearland, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our family evacuated to Sugar Land during Hurricane Ida.
Okay.
Got taken care of by that South Houston crowd pretty good.
It's real nice.
Pearland's right next door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sincere, what's your family, your mom and dad you're the youngest of 5?
Youngest of 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Youngest 7. They're all half siblings, but we've all been in the house at the same time before, and it's been crazy, but youngest of 7. Oh,
wow. That's incredible. And I've told some of the other guests, but my mom was one of 13. My dad was one of 7.
Wow.
And so
13.
I've heard lots of stories of the big houses. So were there any other athletes before you?
Not to the same extent. They played a couple of sports. I think my oldest brother played before I was even born. He played in, I think, junior high or high school for a little bit. My other older brother, Shakur, he played basketball for a little bit in football, but never really did much with it. He played a little in high school. I don't think he finished in high school playing.
Okay.
So other than that, no, I don't believe.
So you're the baby. You come along, and you're probably bigger than all the ones before you, huh?
Yeah. I just got my oldest brother. I just became taller than him. But my second oldest brother, he's my family on my dad's side is pretty tall. My dad's 6'8".
Okay.
And
okay.
My mom's about 5'5", I think. So I got the short genes.
But yeah, I mean, 6'1" is pretty decent height, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of
course, your recruiting profile had you at 6'2". That's one of those recruiting moves.
We'll go with 6'2".
Right. So, all right. And so Pearland's a bigger school, right, in Texas. What classification?
6A Division II, I believe.
And then Texas goes up to 8 or something. But
something.
But 6 is still bad.
I think it's just 6. I think 6 divisions, and then they split 6 divisions, and they split it up into like different, like Division 1, Division 2, 3, 4, and so on, I believe.
Okay. And then, the Friday Night Lights, the whole thing, you're playing big boy football in Texas. Who are some of the guys? Did you have any teammates or anybody you played against that sort of, household names nowadays in college football?
I played one guy that was notable. I played at Oliver's school. Okay. I didn't get to go against Ed Oliver, but I played Westfield High School. They produce a bunch of great athletes, and I can't think of any off the top of my head right now that I've played or that I've seen multiple times. Because there's some guys in like conference play that I remember seeing, but they're just in college football as well.
Yeah,
I don't think any have done much yet.
They're not at household. I mean, because you're in your third year, right?
Yes,
you
sir.
just finished your third year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so Ed Oliver has been in the NFL about 3 or 4 years. So you've played Houston every year, but I don't think y'all never overlap.
No.
Yeah, he was already gone from Houston. They've had some other pretty good players on defense, though.
They've had some really good. We've got to go against a lot of good guys in this conference. Whenever I got my Tulane offer and I was looking through the conference and like seeing the competition in the conference, I already noted, I was like, okay, this is a really good competition, but even since then, it's completely different. I didn't even imagine it'd get this competitive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so you're coming, and there have been years in recent history that Americans had more draft picks than like the Big 12. This is kind of crazy for a Texas guy to hear, but I mean that's been the case, and so you got a lot of good players, a lot of good that you have to deal with, interior defensive linemen and middle linebackers and whatnot. When you're being recruited, I mean, I think you probably looking at some of the film. I mean, you've always been an explosive player, a strong player, athletic. I guess the in your offer list was Tulane and La Tech and Texas State. There were some other schools, but who was sort of Tulane's biggest competition?
I would say it was actually Navy or Army.
Oh, that's right. That's in the academies.
Yeah. I really liked the setup they've got with living on base and everything, and I thought it was really good, and I thought it'd be really cool if I didn't really want to pursue a career after college, a football career after college. I thought it'd be nice, be able to enter the workforce straight from like the same spot and have that 4 years without having to spend and be able to financially plan. I thought that would be cool, but ultimately I decided I wanted to, have a chance after college to, continue going, which I'm not saying they don't, but it's harder. It's a lot harder.
Yeah, you got to waiver and everything from your service requirement.
Right.
Yeah, I had similar opportunities, and Doug Williams. Do you remember that name? Doug Williams would have been before you were born, but he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Redskins at the time. He was on Navy's staff, and he was from Louisiana, and he was really recruiting me hard to go to Navy. And I was like, Coach, I got these glasses. I'm too big. Can I fly a plane? He was like, no, I don't think you can be able to fly. I was like, okay, not interested, Coach. It didn't quite go like that, but the service requirement was a big factor, and it's a plus minus. I had a cousin graduate from West Point, just not football, but and I mean, he retired as colonel in the Army. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, it's really impressive, and obviously anybody that chooses to serve a country like that, to me, I have a lot of respect for.
Huge respect.
But it's tough. I mean, it sets so much. It's sort of you're describing. It sets so much of your path. If you choose that, it sets so much of the path of the rest of your life. And now, and it's really academic oriented, and you get that at Tulane, but you don't necessarily get that that service side of it, the military service side of it. But I'd imagine it was a pretty difficult choice for you, right?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult, but when it came down to it, I'm also pretty close to home too.
Yeah,
6-7 hours. So I like being. That's a good distance for me.
Yeah, I mean, your family's able to come watch you play.
Exactly. They can come watch me play, and if I ever need to go home, it's no longer than a day. So
yeah. Other than that time driving out to Sugar Land during Hurricane Ida evacuation took a little longer, but generally speaking, you get to Houston, like you said, 5-6 hours. It's a good distance. Okay, so you're in terms of high school career and you coming to like Coach Fritz was at the helm. I mean, what was it that struck you about Coach Fritz when you came in that made you want to come to Tulane?
Whenever I got to Tulane, it was on my unofficial visit. It was actually whenever I committed. It was the first time I got to meet Coach Fritz. Mm-hmm. He does this thing, and I'm not sure if he does it. I don't know if he still does it or if it was something he did every year. But I remember I was sitting in. I had to go sit in the team meeting room with my mom, and we were sitting in, and he comes in and he does what he does with the team now. Like, he came in like really loud and had so much energy. He was like clapping, and I thought it was really cool, and I really liked his energy, and he was really transparent whenever he was talking to me and my mom, and I thought it was something I was really looking for in a coach, and a coach who was transparent and obviously who wants to win, and he's a really good winner.
Yeah, he really was that too.
Yeah, I took all that into account, and I think he's just a really, really great guy, and I talk a lot with Coach Fritz. And
yeah, did he use some of that Sam Houston experience and his background and kind of to sell himself to you? Yeah, he's. I really have a lot of respect for Coach Fritz, but I mean, the one thing I hear a lot is sort of he's. And it's key, I think, in any kind of recruiting, if you want the thing to last long term, is that he's honest up front. And he sort of doesn't overpromise things, but he just finds the opportunity, and it looks like he's made good on his side of it as you made good on yours, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so now that's led to now we're going into your fourth year, which I guess technically will be only your junior year because of the COVID year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's great. As a Tulane fan, I'm very excited about that. Along with your co-captains, I mean, Michael and Dorian and Nick all have. Well, Nick only has
next year
1 year left, but the other ones have two. Yeah, you and Mike and Dorian.
Mike's got 3.
Oh, that's right.
He's in the class under me.
Yeah, he played that entire year as a true freshman and didn't count. Yeah, that's right. The sort of so we got this leadership core in place that all have a lot of experience, yet have some time to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Has he been leaning on you? When I say him, Coach Fritz, has he sort of been leaning on you guys to kind of guide the entire team through sort of this? It's a time of transition. I mean, we had a bad season. We don't. Uncharacteristic season for him, and certainly below you guys' expectations. Right. But now we got to turn the page. We got to move forward. How's he leaning on you guys to sort of help with that?
A lot. I feel like he's given us. I'm not gonna say he's giving us the keys, but he's given us, as far as the team coming, is like taking initiative with the keys. He's let us do a lot. Mm-hmm. We've put together as captains some player meetings, and just players, no coaches, and he's been really okay with that, and really okay with what us as captains think we need to do with the team, and like as players, how we need to help lead other players to this is what we need to do to be a winning team. This is what we need to do to turn things around. And Coach Fritz has really allowed us to do a lot of that, and hasn't been overall overbearing, anything like that. He's been he's honestly just let us lead and let us kind of be captains and do what our team chose to do.
Yeah, and as far as he goes, like nobody likes a season like last season, but has he sort of stayed the same guy, the same sort of captain of the ship throughout it all?
He's Same guy every day.
Yeah,
same guy every day.
It's easy to lead people when things are going good. The true test of any leader, I think, is when things are not so good, right? And I'm glad you have that guy in place, and I'm glad he's got you in place to help lead the rest of the guys. So Coach Wade, we have a new offensive line coach, Coach Jeep Wade. Have you had a chance to talk to him, get to know him a little bit?
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on Coach Wade?
I think he's really smart.
Yeah.
Really, he's been able to explain like some of the things he wants to do in a way that's not simple, but it's not it's not rocket science, and it's not impossible to learn. And I think it's going to be really, really good, and it's going to mesh really well with the entire room. And he's also just a great guy to talk to so far. I've had a lot of laughs with him already.
Yeah.
He's really funny.
So this time of the year, to what extent can you interact with your position coach? You're able to have meetings, film?
Meetings, I think we get 10 hours a day, something like that.
10 hours a week?
A week, I mean, not yeah. Wow. No, 10 hours
you better do the playbook at 10 hours a day.
10 hours a week, though. And we get to meet with them, and I think we can do drills, but no, we can't have a ball.
Right.
So no ball. Mm-hmm. But we get to interact with them a little bit. I think next week we start being able to do more team stuff at like football drills and stuff like that, rather than just lift and run. We'll be able to incorporate a little bit of that, so we get to interact quite a bit.
Looking back, Sincere, on last year, and sort of you kind of look, if you looked at our overall team numbers, I mean, and as offensive lineman, you kind of take a lot of pride in run game and how you protect the quarterback and all that. We took a step back in terms of production on the ground. To what do you attribute that? Is it a number of factors? Is it just sort of, is it identity related? What do you think? Were just the opponents better? What do you think it was in terms of how we went from a really dependable run game under I don't want to put the coach's name, but in your first 2 years here, and then last year the seeming step back we took in terms of our ability to dominate on the ground?
I would say most importantly it was just kind of an identity thing, not really being able to find that what we were good at every week and consistently. Some weeks we ran outside zone better, some weeks we ran inside zone better. We never really had a definite like, hey, this is what we're gonna do to move the ball on the ground this week. It was always we can get them with multiple things, but we never had one that was surefire.
Yeah. So
I would say mostly an identity thing, and then we had a lot of younger guys competing for spots, and it made it just a little harder for everyone to kind of grow as a unit. There were some guys, somebody would get hurt, and now we got a different guy at guard, or we got a different guy at tackle, and a lot of young guys who don't really have that much experience yet. So it's a little different, than the years before. We've had a pretty veteran O-line, or I think my freshman year, I think I was the only non-redshirt guy on the line
playing. Yeah, and even your veteran guys then last year, they were banged up, right? I mean, exactly. Joey was never, Claybrook was never fully healthy last year, right. and Corey had just a bunch of nagging things all year long, it seemed like. And but I'm interested. I take what you're saying about identity. I understand that, because it's when you're a newer guy and you're coming in and you're trying to get your feet under you. It's a lot easier if that no matter what, come hell or high water, we're gonna run inside zone 20 times. I mean, that's a core play. Whatever the play is.
Right.
And if you come in a situation and 1 week it's we're gonna you think you got it, we're good at this, we're confident that we got everybody on the same page, and we're able to run this no matter what the defense presents to us, and you just don't even do it, or you barely do it a given week. It just makes the processing harder. I mean, you have to master more things if you don't have a base identity, right? I mean, and that's a lot on, younger guys stepping in, playing different positions, having to shuffle around. And so in your sort of talks with Coach Wade, your talks with your fellow offensive linemen, has there been some discussion of sort of what the identity, what we want it to be going forward?
I think we're going to talk about outside zone some more. I think we're still looking into it. It's really early, and there's a lot of directions we can go, and there's a lot of talent on the team. I think one of the things Coach Sabota said was we're gonna evaluate what we have before we commit to an identity, and we get spring to do that. And so we're really lucky to have spring ball and a little bit of time before spring ball to really evaluate what we're gonna be going into next season with, and to see like how guys are going to develop and who's going to work harder, who's going to fight for that spot harder, who's going to, we could have a receiver who's really fast and really good at beating the guy down the field, and we might want to have more of a deep threat type of offense, or maybe our number one receiver ends up being a guy who's really shifty and can run routes really well, and we kind of have a shorter type of throwing offense,
Sure.
So whoever kind of steps up and whoever shows that, hey, like, this is what I'm bringing to the table this year, and we're gonna see what works the best for us. And if that ends up being multiple things, then it might end up being multiple things.
Well, but that's a very intelligent way, because that's what you are, of essentially explaining that you're going to build your identity around the player's strengths.
Right.
And just an example of an outside zone team. I mean, the Rams are about to play in the Super Bowl. The Rams were probably the best outside zone team in the NFL for a number of years. Well, Robert Woods, of all people, gets hurt. A receiver gets hurt. Right. And you see the effectiveness of their run game go down because, while he was a receiver, he was a critical piece of that. Mm-hmm. What he did on the perimeter as a blocker enabled so much of that offense to go. He gets hurt. They got to replace him. They struggle not to only to replace him in the pass game. They struggle to replace him as a run blocker, right? Yep. And so you five guys might be really good at running outside zone. We'll stick on that. But if the receivers we have to have on the field are not great at blocking that scheme, then you might have to sort of adjust a little bit to find the best fit for the 11 on the field at the time. So that makes total sense to me. I'm looking forward to seeing where we land, and spring's going to be a pretty big
really fun.
Pretty big time for us, yeah.
I'm really excited for spring. So we've had a couple of different staffs come through for each spring, and I think one thing that we've been really lucky despite all that is every spring it's everyone's competing for a spot all over again, and it really brings a lot of intensity to spring, and it gives it kind of a fall camp feel. And it's really fun.
Yeah,
it's really competitive.
Yeah, and one other interesting part about all the staff stages, Coach Svoboda, the new offensive coordinator, and I guess the Coach McMenamin, the new receiver coach, are coming off of head coaching jobs. Mm-hmm. They're sitting Division II head coaches. They're coming in. So you got a ton of. We had a lot of experience before, but we got a ton of experienced staff, a lot of different perspectives. Mm-hmm. It will be interesting to see how they see how the pieces fit together.
We had a little offensive meeting today, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, it seems like they've all been able to talk and kind of lay out a little plan.
Yeah, and I think all those guys, including Coach Fritz, they all sort of have a shared identity in some ways, and I got to meet a couple of them, and I'm excited to see what they do for us. So, okay, so in terms of one thing I don't think our people at home really understand, which might find interesting, is in a play, what's your job as a center? Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing pre-snap to sort of to help make the offense go?
So usually, I'll address the ball. Usually it's on the center to kind of find the ball, and so if it's spot on the left or right hash, it's usually on the center to try to find the ball as quick as possible and get set so everyone else can get set. So usually I've got to find wherever the ball is spotted and get on the ball. Then you see where the defense is lined up, if it's odd or even. So that's the first thing you point out. Then you got to listen for the play. Whenever you listen for the play, it could be pass or run. There's usually some key calls from whatever play they give you that you got to call either pass or run. So, and usually it's the center who's got to make the first one, because a lot of times my spot can affect the tackle spot or vice versa. So usually they've got to know where the spot is, so the center's got to point that out. So I've got to look for that spot and identify that, and then make sure that the guy to the left or to the right and to the left of me, if I've got a combo with them or not.
Yeah, well, back when I played it, and this could have changed because the defenses move so much more, but and there's a lot more odd. When I played, it was a lot of even fronts, and it was sort of, you didn't get a lot of late shifting stuff. But, the center's job was to call the mic. In other words, the fifth guy. You're declaring. We called it a mic because oftentimes it was the middle linebacker, but depending on the look they gave, the mic could be somebody else. But, the center would declare a mic, and basically that would set the protection. So if I'm a tackle and I got number 2 on the left side or the right side, whatever side I'm on, and that's 2 from the mic, right? And so that guy might be lined up off the ball, but I mean, that's, but if you called the mic was the other backer, then number 2 is a different person. So sort of what you're saying, your call sort of sets what the wheels in motion in terms of what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
Now, one thing I'm interested in, I know they do it in NFL. I don't know how much you do it in college, but like, it could be a tell to the defense if you're calling. If you're making a call that sets a protection only on pass plays, but not giving dummy calls or a similar call on a run play, they can pick up on whether it's run pass. Do we do sort of some espionage type of stuff to kind of throw the defense off?
Yeah, and it's always been on. They'll put it on me sometimes and say like, don't, because whenever it's a pass play, I'm usually the one telling everyone like, hey, right, left, this is where we're going, and throwing hand signals and stuff like that. They tell me just mix that in with the run calls as much as I can, or as much as it doesn't mess up the offense. So I shouldn't be giving run calls every now and then on a pass play. If I'm going to do it, it's got to be a consistent thing. So it'll be some weeks we'll start the game off doing it, and then we do it the whole time. And then other weeks is we don't do it, and we just won't do it because it can really mess up the offense sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, so much within some of the pace stuff also limits you what you can do on some things snap count wise and all these other things. But I always tell people that offensive linemen, other than a quarterback, are the smartest football players. Well, I just leave it at that. Now, Nick may be the exception to the rule. Most linebackers are not him, but Tulane's got a lot of smart guys. But the smartest of the offensive linemen, I think, or at least the one that has the most intellectual responsibility, is by far the center. So I feel like we're in good hands with you in charge of that.
Thank you.
So Sincere, the Coach Hester, you talk about the running and lifting. How the workout's been with Coach Hester so far?
They're awesome.
Yeah,
they're awesome. I've really enjoyed them. He's taught me a lot of things that I didn't really know body wise, because there's always more to learn about the body and lifting and everything going on. So he's brought a lot to the table that I didn't know. I think he's even incorporated, I think he's done some jiu-jitsu stuff, and he'll incorporate that into our warm-ups, like some of the breathing exercises and like massage points and stuff to help your body relax before you work out, and kind of just really elevating and trying to get every edge that we can get. He's really helped us find that.
Are y'all doing it? We actually did on a side. The Coach Bowden brought in a martial arts guy to work with us a little during the summer. I don't know if y'all did that, but it really just, it actually was very helpful. At first, we're making fun. We're putting on helmet things on shirts around the head like Daniel from Karate Kid, and trying to we're making fun of it, but it ended up being very helpful because you just sort of learning some basic hand-to-hand combat stuff becomes very important actually in what we do in terms of, particularly in the pass blocking game. Are y'all incorporating, when you said jiu-jitsu, are you incorporating sort of any of that stuff yet, or is it more just in terms of preparation for training?
more preparation for training right now. He has told us whenever we get closer to, I think maybe even next week, whenever we start doing like drills and like running drills as a team and stuff, he works a lot with the offensive linemen, and he does a lot of hand fighting drills and stuff like that to help. Like, and I think it comes from the jiu-jitsu background.
Sure.
I'm not sure, but yeah, we're gonna do a lot of hand fighting, kind of martial arts background.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I mean, if you think about it, you think about the overlap of skills. It makes a tremendous amount of sense,
right? To
actually expose your offensive lineman. I mean, leverage first, low man wins and all that. But you can be the low man, but if your hands are all, if you don't know how to get a tackle position, if you don't, if they get you in the right spot, you know, if you can't break that fast and reestablish your base, you could be in a lot of trouble.
Replace your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Replace them. That's right. And so that's cool. Well, speaking of hands, okay, and I've had Dorian and I've had Nick on here. These are two all-conference level linebackers, and both talk about your hands. and basically, you're dead if Sincere gets his hands on you. So is that sort of in terms of your game? I mean, is that sort of the calling cards that, I mean, you're obviously really strong and all that, but it's sort of, you're able to get a punch on a guy and then lock in, and once you're locked, they're neutralized.
I would say yes. That's probably my strongest point. Is whenever I get my hands on someone, usually I can sit them down and, you know, hold pretty sturdy. Yeah. One thing that I've lost a lot of weight. So one thing that I have noticed last season, I was able to play a lot faster, and I really felt like that allowed me to do a lot of things that I haven't really been able to. And I think that's becoming a strong point of my game too, is being able to, you know, be more explosive and be quicker to the point, and it helped get two linebacker spots a lot quicker for me to get my hands on people, and I think that really changed the game for me a lot.
Yeah, I saw it, and look, I'm not sitting there watching your film like I would have 25 years ago, but I mean, I'm watching some of these things closely, and I can tell you, when you're a young guy, obviously you were playing at a young age, and you were thicker, you know, and you move piles, but you know, there was some sort of in space things that seemed to be challenging for you. That no longer seem challenging, but to give you an example, that you developed the quickness but didn't give up some of the power, is the second to last clip I've seen you floating around on Twitter was what you did to that kid from Oklahoma, man.
That's one of my favorite plays of the season.
Yeah, I mean, defensive tackle lined up on your nose, you know, and I don't know, what did he do? He tried to sort of shake you. He gave you numbers too fast.
Yeah, he did. I think he's just used to taller guys, honestly. Right there. That might have been where my height came into play right there. But he tried to. That video is actually talking about like his springy get off, and he's really quick to get into people. But I want to say he probably just shot a little too high, and I stayed low and was able to get my hands inside and really start driving my feet.
Yes, you did. And folks, I'm sorry, I'll talk to Bradley about getting really sophisticated by bringing clips up. That may be some ways off, but go on Twitter.
That'd be cool.
and look up Sincere's name, and there's this clip of him destroying NFL prospect for Oklahoma. I mean, it was the sort of mall job that we see all the time in high school level, and you get to college and you don't see it too often. You almost never see it in the league. This was like high school level domination of a Oklahoma defensive tackle.
He actually won Reese Bowl MVP.
Oh wow,
Super Bowl MVP. I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
it was really.
You got him good. Yeah, you got him good. So the Senior Bowl MVP got taught a lesson by Mr. Haynesworth. All right, so but those guys, your two linebackers that you have to get to every day in practice, inside drill, you'll call it something else, but pretty tough guys to block. Yeah, two spot. Yeah.
No, those guys are unbelievable. I talked to pretty much everybody on the offensive bottom. We're really competitive, the three of us, for sure. If I'm talking trash during practice, 90% of the time it's to them.
Yeah.
And I admittedly talk a lot of trash. I feel like it's part of my game. But it's always usually to them, and they're pretty they're pretty tough to block. So I like to compete, and I get real competitive.
I had a team. You remind me of I don't know if it's a Texas lineman, a Houston area lineman thing, but I had a teammate, Derek Bugg, who we hung out with for years after playing, but he's moved back to Houston. But he grew up in Beaumont and sort of. He ran his mouth a lot, he was a talker, offensive lineman talker,
We might run our mouth a lot down there in Houston.
Yeah. All right, y'all got something in common. You kind of got a similar accent, a little different. Beaumont's a little different, a little bit more country than where you grew up. So as far as Nick and Dorian and really, some of the, you're also blocking the defense tackles in practice. Jeffrey, I'm sure, was a load. Mm-hmm. How about Adonis and some of these other guys? How do you feel they stack up with some of the guys you see in league play?
Really good, actually. Adonis is getting better every practice. Really, there was times where I'd go against Adonis and I'd be like, "Wow!" Like sometimes that is harder than what I see in the games, and that's always a great thing when you got good competition at practice. Eric Hicks, he's a worker. That's probably one of the hardest workers I've ever met. Eric Hicks, and he's really, really fundamental and really good at doing his job and practicing his technique, and it makes it really hard whenever you're tired, and a guy who's just driven by technique is the only way he knows how to do it is with really good technique. Yeah. And
those guys. One of the things that really I think has been a hallmark of Coach Fritz has made a huge difference with him versus other Tulane staffs is that's always been the knock since my days. The Tulane can't get enough quality interior defensive linemen. Because all those guys from the South, they all go to the SEC.
Right.
And they've done a really good job in terms of identifying prospects at those positions and bringing them in. And when you look at the guys who are coming in now, it's a reload. We lose Jeffrey, but then Adonis is still there. Hicks is still there. And then you got the kid coming in from TCU. And Pat, you got some big old boys coming in on the high school level. You got Noah, and the young pups kind of going to have their chance now. And so,
bro, you picked that guy up off his feet. That's insane.
Yeah. Pumphrey or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Wow.
Bradley just saw the clip I was referencing. He got his interest.
It's like he can't do anything. He's like, oh boy.
So and I think that's sort of the thing is when you watch Nick and Dorian play. Obviously they win all conference honors, just like whatever. But then even some of these guys that aren't quite at that level. There's deeper, more competitive athletes at sort of all these tough positions for a lot of teams in our league to recruit. Right. Gotta be exciting to kind of look forward to. Okay, we got a whole hit list of people. We owe something to going forward.
This next one's gonna be real fun.
Yeah, you're not going in with hope and a prayer. You're going in with some real dogs to fight with.
Yeah.
So on your side of the ball, who are some of the guys, sort of your guys? Offensive lineman is a different breed, man. We kind of pack together, hang as a pack. Who are your guys you're running with?
Caleb Thomas and my roommate, actually, we live together.
Okay.
It's probably my best bud here so far. We get along. He's a lot like me. We got really similar personalities, and we like a lot of the same things, so we hang out a lot.
Now, he's from California originally, right?
Yeah. It's weird. He told me, sorry, this is off topic.
Go for it, yeah.
He was telling me about humidity in California and how it doesn't exist. So,
okay. That makes sense.
And he was telling me he could just step out of his shower without nothing on the ground, and just the bathroom was dry on its own. And he says the first couple weeks here, he would just do that and leave the bathroom completely flooded.
Before water, everybody. Yeah, I bet you it wasn't adjustable. What part of California is he from?
He's from Orchid, California. I think it's around Santa Monica.
Okay, yeah.
Like that. But him, Jackson Fort, my roommate, freshman and sophomore year, I'm really close with him too. He's from the Houston area as well, the Woodlands.
Yep.
Really close with him. Nick Hogan, he got moved to D-line and then back to O-line. Really close with him. But I would say those three are the main three that I hang out with the most. But I'd say the whole room's really close. Ethan Marcus, walk-on from New York. He's Pratt's best bud, and he hangs out around the house all the time. Josh Hermitage, I think they live together. Who else? Solly, Joe Solomon, awesome. We actually got early enrollment freshman who just came right now, Sully Burns.
Oh yeah, I met him. He's a very large man. He looks down on me. I'm 6'6", and he's
huge. His hair is pretty cool too.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna be an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people quite understand like the brotherhood. Like, offensive lineman. I mean, you basically the only time you recognize is for doing something wrong,
right?
Generally, and yet that you're really the most important unit on the team. Nothing works without it,
right?
And so you just kind of, there's a sense of pride there of being sort of the under-respected the crew, and so and then you're all grew up being way bigger than every kid in your class, and kind of so like you finally find this group of guys that you share this identity with, right? Like, hey, we're all the misfit big kids, and my guys, what's
you
up?
Like to eat too?
yeah. Hey, what are you hungry? You hungry right now? Oh, yeah, exactly. So we're gonna cover that. Don't worry. We got big important food questions coming up next, but. I guess of that group, or just the room in general, who are some of the guys you're really looking forward to seeing go forward in 2022?
I'm really excited to see what Ra does.
Yeah.
He played a lot of this last season, injured actually, and so we.
Yeah, I mean, as a redshirt freshman,
right?
Yeah,
and we know he can bring a lot to the table, and I'm really excited to see what he will bring to the table. I'm excited for Joey too. I feel like this year is going to be really, really big for him because he's also I think he's really recovering from his knee surgery that he had prior to this last season. I feel like it's bothered him a little bit, but seeing him work out and I'm seeing him gain a lot of confidence back, and he's working really hard. And I'm really excited to see what those two do.
Yeah, we talked to I think it was maybe. No, Nick was talking about, what people don't realize with Joey is, Tajay was saying it actually, is like, he's in the middle of a crucial part of his rehab when Ida hits. And now you're in a hotel in Birmingham. You don't have Tulane Sports Medicine right there. You don't have the suite of sort of recovery care that you're used to having.
Right.
And he's going to have to go right into a season, with that. And it affected his ability to sort of play at close to 100%.
Right.
And so it'll be fun to watch him play again. I mean, he's definitely showed some things. And Green's a guy I really noticed. He's early on, he looked like a lot of people playing for the first time attack. I mean, you're playing some really athletic teams. When you look at us playing against Ole Miss and Oklahoma and even, UAB. I mean, all these teams were good, had good players, and he's seeing them for the first time. But what I saw with Rara was development. You saw the guy you saw it starting to make more sense to him. Sort of slowing down, I guess is the way to say it. The game slowed down for him as the season went on. And I mean, there's a lot of physical gifts there.
Yeah. Well, one thing, him and everyone on the team really, and it was a point of emphasis last year. It was a real silver lining actually. No one ever really stopped working and trying to improve. Everyone was really, really trying to, we needed it to win that next game, but we also need to get better as players. And everyone showed up with that mindset. And, everyone still came out and worked hard every day and, put in their time in the weight room, the film room. And I think it's just really commendable for him to do that, not at 100%, true freshman. Second year, though, because the last year didn't count.
Right,
so
the COVID year.
Young guy, just a young guy, to go through all that and, still show up every day and never, ever just flat out complain, never really has a frown on his face, is always really, really cheery guy.
Yeah,
so, respectable.
I don't know how many people at home can really appreciate what it's like, but I mean, there are a whole number of injuries that would, I'm 44 and I work out at this gym, that if I had those injuries, that some of the things that happened to me in college, now I wouldn't be anywhere near this place trying to do any of this stuff. And yet you play through it. I mean, separated shoulders, stuff where, I go weeks where I can't pick my arm up over my head, yet I'm getting down in the stance and
Right.
putting that shoulder in somebody's 300-pound man's belly, 70 times of practice or whatever. I mean, you play through these nagging things that don't, in college, there's no injury report. Right. We as fans don't see, man, Joey Claybrook and Rah-Rah probably have no business being out there right now, but the team needs them, and so they're gutting it out. We're not seeing their best selves. Right. We're seeing a guy tough it out for the good of the union.
Right, for the team.
Yeah, and then when you finally get to see those guys healthy, it's like, oh, yeah,
where'd this come from?
Yeah, we saw some of that with Tajay this year. I mean, everybody knew what he had, but as he sort of got healthier as the season went on, I mean, the guy was the best running back in the league, down the stretch, and he's gonna be healthy next year, so watch out. All right, so the last thing I want to cover before we get to the most important subject of food. Stephen Martin Scholar, the reigning Stephen Martin Male Scholar at Tulane, man. What's that? And for those who don't remember, if we cover Nick, it's the award given to Tulane athletes who demonstrate the highest level of character and leadership skills while being academically driven and civic minded, all the characteristics. That's how his teammates describe Stephen Martin. So what's that mean to you to sort of be the guy that's in that role or receive that award?
It means the world. I try to, be those things. I try to be a good leader. I feel like it's more of a service thing. So many people take chances on me and pay their respects to me, and I feel like I just kind of owe it to everyone to, do something for them and try to, pay it back and help everyone out in some way. So I feel like leading is a good way I can do that, and it means a lot to see that it's recognized and appreciated, and it means the world that I'd be elected for this award. I get a little speechless every time I talk about it.
Well, I mean, and you think about sort of what the courage and sort of just the personality traits that Mr. Martin had to have in order to do what he did, right? And sort of just somebody to say, hey, you know what? You're the guy who most reminds us of him. Now, it's got to be like mind-blowing, right?
It's surreal.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I mean, because look, here's the thing. God gives us all certain talents. And if you're blessed with, Anthony Davis's athleticism, whatever, like, it's almost like getting an award for being a great athlete is like, well, okay, yeah, sure. Right. Because I'm a 6'10" guy that can dribble like a point guard or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm a great athlete. Like, it's like that was sort of given to me, right? And circumstances play a role, but generally speaking, you're just a freak athletically. Academically, you can learn certain things. You can be a better student. You can push yourself closer to your ceiling. But generally speaking, there's a range you're going to be in terms of your God-given mental ability. People would tell me I'm smart or whatever when I was playing. I'm like, well, I don't want credit for being smart. I had nothing to do with that. I want you to say I'm a good player, damn it. And I don't hear that very often. But really, the sort of the things you choose to do, and to know that your choices and your efforts are being noticed. I mean, that's to me the coolest thing, because it's something you got to work with. You can be born with leadership qualities, but you still have to act like a leader. Right. You have to carry yourself that way on a consistent basis to where people actually follow you. You can't fake that, and you're not just granted that gift. I mean, that's something that you have to actively work for, and then the service part of it, right? I mean, when you're blessed with a lot of talents, it's easy to sort of sit there and read your own clippings or pat yourself on the back. Is actually, if you use those things to make the world a better place with people around you, man, that's where it's at. Right?
Pay for it.
Yeah, and so that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you, and having talked to you and your predecessor Nick, man. I mean, it's like I love this award. Yeah, I mean, look, I love this award because these are guys I really want to talk to. All right, so here it is now. Offensive linemen we don't get to get out and tell the world and scare them with our love of food too often. So let's get into it. So, all right. I'm ready. A Houston guy. What's the best? Let's start. What's the best Texas cuisine? Like whether it's barbecue, Tex-Mex, or something else. And Houston's got all this great Asian food. I mean, there's a lot of.
I would say being away from Tex-Mex, it's made me realize how hard it is to perfect. So
yeah, we got knockoffs here, man. We don't have the really good Tex-Mex here.
I would say, but you can't beat that barbecue.
Yeah,
you can't beat the barbecue.
No, we basically went on a family vacation. Well, there was a lot of like Torchies and stuff mixed in there, but
Torchies.
Yeah, Torchies tacos. they were all over now, but back then it was like you had to go to like Houston to get it, right? Yeah, or Austin, and we went to Texas Hill Country. And we were trying to figure out where we're gonna go, and like we chose Texas Hill Country because I wanted to go hit all the barbecue spots. Yeah. So we went Smitty's and Blacks and Kreutz's and Salt Lick and all these places. All right. So a traditional Texas barbecue guy would say, you know, the king of all cuts is the brisket. Yeah. And then Texas is also known for its sausage. Mm-hmm. You know, the smoked sausage. So is the brisket indeed the king in Sincere's world, or you got a curveball for us?
Unless we're counting steak.
Yeah.
Brisket.
Yeah.
Unless we're counting steak. Brisket.
Man, I had a case one time. It took me to Stephenville, Texas, where Art Browns is from, actually. Mm-hmm. And you say steak, you got me thinking, because I'm thinking like somebody recommended Hard 8 barbecue to me. Go to Hard 8. I was like, oh, I'm excited. You walk in a Hard 8 and there's a pit smoker that's the size of like basically half this room. And they pull the lid up, the big cast iron lid, and it's all a different barbecue fare. You just kind of pick it out. But if you pick the steak of a ribeye, they had it. They would basically, it's already mostly cooked. They're gonna warm it, hit it real fast to sear it, and then get served. They like douse it in butter, like there's a thing of butter. They slap it in there, and then boom, boom. You know, like 30 seconds aside or whatever. There's your ribeye. That was good. I like that pit steak. But so as far as your brisket, is there a particular place that does it the best, or?
I go whenever I'm back home. There's this place called Texas Central Barbecue.
Okay.
And so it's like a family-owned place. I think I don't know, I can't recall their names, but it's really good. That's where I get my barbecue from. Or Killen's. I live right next to Killen's Barbecue. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard it, yeah.
Killen's Barbecue.
I go to Texas
amazing. I can't believe I almost forgot Killen's.
For business, yeah.
I hope Texas doesn't cancel it.
No. He got it in. If we need to edit, we'll do it. All right, so what's the best? All right, so you got to have the onions and the jalapeno and the pickle, right, with Texas barbecue. Mm-hmm. But as far as the real sides, the substance sides, what's the best side?
The best side, I would have to say, I love mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. I love potatoes, any type of potatoes.
Any of the potatoes, okay.
I'm a big potato fan. Potato salad. Mac and cheese is a close second, but I only like the mac and cheese whenever it's like oven baked. Like oven baked mac and cheese.
We're particular about our mac and cheese. Absolutely.
So I don't know if that counts as barbecue though.
No. You got your traditional barbecue sides, right? So if you go to a barbecue place, there's going to be a baked bean option. Yeah. And there's going to be a potato, some sort of potato option. And you have a coleslaw option. You know, like there'll be some version of a slaw, some version of a potato salad, some version of a baked bean. Yeah. You know, I guess, mashed potato, there will be something in the potato family. So if I'm going to do a meat and, give me your barbecue platter. 2 meats. 2 sides.
2 sides.
What's on it?
Okay. I'm going with brisket and sausage for sure. Chopped sausage. I'm going mashed potatoes, and I'm going. Have you ever had what's it called? It's like the cornbread.
Oh yeah, spoon bread.
Spoon bread, yeah.
You know what's got to go in here is Central City barbecue.
I've had it.
Okay,
it is really good.
Yeah, that's a good. They do legit Central City's Texas level barbecue.
I like their barbecue.
Yeah, they're great.
I approve of their
barbecue. Yeah, Sincere approved. You hear that, Aaron and guys? Sincere approved barbecue from you. Yeah, look, when I'm in Texas, I do. If I can get a brisket and a jalapeno cheddar sausage, I'll do that. You know what's underrated? it doesn't have the most flavor, but you need it to counteract the meat sweats is coleslaw because it's cool and sort of keeps your body temp right. Your body's working hard to digest all that meat. You need a little something to cool you down.
I'm just not the biggest fan.
You're not a slob, man. We gotta get you. We're gonna have to get you. All right. Well. So all right. So you're in NOLA though more than Texas these days. What's your favorite thing around here?
Ooh, I would say my favorite New Orleans food, red beans and rice.
Yeah,
for sure. I actually grew up eating red beans and rice. I didn't really know it was a New Orleans.
What was that background? Your mom or dad had?
My mom's from all over the place. I grew up. She cooks a lot of Hispanic food. She's part Dominican, so she cooks a lot of Hispanic food, a lot of soul food too. But there's a little bit of everything. I've had a lot of it. She's a big foodie as well.
Yeah. So you grew up on the red beans and rice and didn't even realize.
Red beans and rice.
Yeah, very nice. Okay. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Red beans and rice, a little fried chicken, or really the fried pork chop's an underrated accompaniment of a red bean rice.
I haven't had like a New Orleans style. I've seen people get like smothered pork chops a lot here, and they always look really good. But I haven't got to one yet.
Yeah, you got to get on it.
I always get to the fried alligator first.
See, okay.
I like fried alligator a lot.
Yeah, there aren't many places you're gonna get that other than Louisiana, but it's good. So in my when I was your age, let me tell you something, son. When I was a young yipper, but there was a place. It relocated. And unfortunately, it closed. COVID got it. But Dunbar's was on Ferret Street, and Dunbar's Creole cuisine. You would go to Dunbar's, and it was all you can eat red beans and rice and fried chicken.
That sounds great.
In a sweet tea this big, right? And it was like $8.99 or something. And so the offensive line would show up together, and I think Miss Dunbar's just started sweating. Like, oh no, don't do it to us. Like, another plate, please. Another plate. It's like 4 plates of red beans and rice, and 10 pieces of chicken or whatever. Yeah. And so years later, I find out I'm reading about the closing of the restaurant. I'm like, oh man, I love Dunbar's. As it turns out, Mrs. Dunbar, the recipes came from my hometown, Paulina, Louisiana. I was like, well, all of this makes perfect sense to me now.
All makes sense.
That's why she was so damn good. All right. Yeah. So let's see. Any big Mardi Gras plans? You got anything?
Not so far. I'm gonna just play it by ear, see what's happening. I think Jackson actually lives pretty close to or he lives on St. Charles. So his apartment, you can see from like this pool, it's gated in, and you can see the parade go right by it. So,
yeah, that key Mardi Gras strategy. If you're gonna get into the parades, and we always did was you got to have that home base if you can. And so if you got a friend that's got that lives on the route. Yeah. You got to get now. You got to be careful where you're parking because if you get into the inside the sort of circle, the routes have all changed right now, and I haven't studied it this year. But it used to be you can get trapped, right? If you parked on the wrong side. But if you got a spot where you have access in and out, even if you got to park a few blocks away, and then if you got bathrooms right there and an easy walk to the route, man, you're set. That's it.
Right.
You don't let that go.
You got to keep that.
You post up Saturday, Sunday. You do the whole thing. It's a spectacle you got to see. But
sure.
It gets old when you're like when I got 4 kids in tow and there's no accessible bathroom. I'm a snob now. I don't do it if I don't have a setup where I got bathrooms right here or whatever. Like no, we're not going search. Although Coach Fritz's church is a rain bath. If you're in a pinch, you go to Rain. Rain Methodist, I believe. They'll sell you a really clean bathroom slot for like $5. So you can run in there and get it. So anyway, all right. So that's my Mardi Gras tip. Well, the next tip is if your parade's your thing, and I like to see my Tulane guys stay away from all the trouble downtown. Although I'm a hypocrite because we used to all bounce on Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras. It's the only time we could make money.
It's easy money.
We'd go work the door. They needed extra security. We needed extra money. It was a match made in heaven.
There you
go. But just go to parades, nice, wholesome fun. You go do that, and then the weekend, not this upcoming weekend, but the next, is awesome because it's that Saturday, Sunday, 9 and 10 days before Mardi Gras.
It's the best weekend. It's chill.
It's chill. It's not as the crowds just aren't as big. Right. When you get to that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, muses and all, I mean, it's just crazy the amount of people. And that weekend is more chill. You got more time to just kind of expand the day. You know, you can set up in the parade route and spend all day out there, and it's not too crazy.
For sure.
Definitely check that one out.
I have to check that one out.
Okay.
I'll for sure check that one out. Actually.
Awesome.
That's my thing. I don't like the big crowds, and you know, I gotta walk around like
well,
this.
because you're like, I mean, you're like me, right? If I go to a concert, I'm self-conscious the entire time about standing up because I don't want to block the view of the person. Because it's not just the height thing. It's one thing if you're tall, people can kind of look around you. But when you're this wide, they can't look around you that way either. Like you just you paid for as much for your ticket and you can't see anything. And the whole time I'm thinking about that. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm always conscious about big crowds and staying out of it. So you got your pro tip here. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Sincere, that'll do it for us, man. I've taken enough of your time, although it's been an honor and pleasure to spend this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, man. And folks, that'll do it this week. Thanks to Roof Fitness and the Stat Coaching, Bradley Schneller, who you heard a little bit of popping in. We encourage that for putting together the show, and to all of those who have donated to the Fear the Wave Collective. You're allowing us to bring this show and to help promote the Tulane student athlete. I think there's a lot to promote there. These guys need to be out there. They're amazing people, great ambassadors for the school and the city. So please send those donations in, and we'll keep bringing these guys to you and doing what we can to help these guys out. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us on YouTube, on your podcast service. Come check us out on the Fear the Wave stream. And guys, just keep spreading the word. We value your support. Thank you. Good night, and roll wave.
Wave.